Okay, so our gentlemen and ladies, we have with us present now Mrs. Patricia Eviba Jaro Erinfolami. She's a seasoned and international training facilitator based in the United Kingdom. She's a product of University of London and also University of Benin. So she actually have a knowledge in both sides. She has handled various training programs in the Middle East and the United Kingdom as well. She's also a curriculum management development expert. Mrs. Patricia, please we welcome you to this program. The floor is yours now, please. Thank you.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. And it's a great pleasure to be here again. I think this is my third or so presentation to the group. So I'm glad that I've been called upon again to present to the team. And I hope by the end of today's session, we would have taken something from it, something that we can implement as a way of us looking at how we can actively engage our online learners. So we're delivering online now. Sometimes it gets really complicated to get learners to be engaged. I am speaking from experience. We've conducted a lot of polls where teachers and facilitators have expressed difficulties with getting the learners going, getting them engaged. So this is quite something that people find difficult. So we just want to explore some things today. And that's something I believe we should continually do so that our learners can benefit from our training. I think, like we all have agreed, our present situation globally is unprecedented. It is unpredictable. Nobody saw this coming. But right now, online delivery is the way forward. We cannot shy away from it. That's our way forward because we're dealing with unprecedented and unpredictable situation. The aim of today's workshop is really to follow up with all what our colleagues have said yesterday and today. It's all been about practical. Everybody has been saying that we need to be more practical in order to engage our learners. All the other facilitators who have spoken before me today have also suggested things such as using polling everywhere. Breakout room is one thing that has been mentioned over and over and over. So we're going to look at some of those practical things. So really today is a practical session. We're going to try our hands on some of the things that are planned for today. It may work for some, it may not work for others, it may not even work for me, but that does not mean that we should abandon ship. We will continue to try. So one of the practical things that we're going to look at today is the breakout session function on Zoom. You were sent something yesterday. I will go back to it to see, ask you if you've received it and if you've done any work with it and how you found it. As we go along, I think at this point in time, I'm going to ask you, please use the chat box, use the meeting chat. A few things that I'm going to start asking you are, number one, did you receive the instruction? Because what we are practicing now is flip classroom. Flip workshop. By this, we mean we will give learners some things, some pre-work, so that when we come back, we are drawing on the knowledge, the assumed knowledge, because we're giving pre-work. So please use the chat box to make your comments. Did you get it? Did you use it? How did it work for you? Here are so those comments that we welcome. Also, we will be using another interactive tool. So we're going to use it now. We will explain how it is done so that you can also, know when to, which is Slido. Slido is an interactive tool that could be used as an energizer. So if you think about it, you've got maybe 12, 15 trainees all day. If you can imagine what it feels like at 2 o'clock, people are tired, people are bored. This is when you can throw in Slido. Slido is an activity to re-energize people so that, their re-engagement level is heightened again, and then you do not lose them. So that's another thing that we plan to do. in the course of today, so generally in the course of today, it's going to be very much activity-based, and then feedback, Q&A, like we all know. Okay, so let's do a warm-up. Let's do a warm-up. This is also similar to what we did yesterday with David Brown, where, you know, he did a poll. But this one, I want, when it's a competitive poll, it's a competitive warm-up activity. I'd like you to experience how it feels when you throw in an energizer in the middle of the day, when you begin to see that your learners are beginning to lose engagement. So it's an experience that we want to share with you so that you can decide when you are delivering, when to use this, when to use Energizer. So at this point in time, I'm going to hand over to my other co-host who is going to introduce Kahoot as an activity to warm up for you to use as a warm-up session. Over to you, Mr. Johnson.
Okay, thank you, Patricia. Good morning, everyone. Like we've heard from Patricia and Mr. Akinyemi when he was delivering the first session, he talked about getting our participants engaged. This tool we want to use is Kahoot. And Kahoot exercise is one, to give your participants a means of warm-up. Don't forget, we are occupying their private spaces, and therefore you need to get something to get them occupied. We calling it something that will help them to recap the previous learning. So I'm going to go on to Kahoot. Everyone, your device, your phone, please log on to your phone and go on to Kahoot.it, please.
So I have put that in the chat box, the spelling, okay. Kahoot.it. Just log on to Kahoot.it.
Okay, I'm going to share my screen now. I'm going to share my screen on the Kahoot now. Is everyone on Kahoot? Have you been able to log on to Kahoot.com? If you are there, let me know. If you are not, then let me know. Is everyone there?
Yes.
Okay. Once you log on, I'm going to generate a PIN number for you to use now. One minute.
What is Kahoot?
Whilst my co-host is setting up Kahoot, can we ask you please to confirm using the meeting chat that you have managed to log on to Kahoot.it? Just confirm with a yes or a no, please, so that we can have an idea of majority. Thank you very much. Yes, thank you. Thank you for the confirmation. Yes, okay.
The number is coming up, okay? If you are to use Kahoot as a facilitator, you probably will need to sign into it as a facilitator, but because you are a participant, you are just using this game number. So can you please see the game number now on my screen?
Yeah.
Okay. The game number is 3201971. So what this does is, as you log on to the PIN number, it will equally request for your name. Okay, one person has just successfully logged in now, 3 people, 4 people. So, okay. It's very competitive. It's asking 2 things. One, the response time, and to help you to bring the lessons that the lectures we have had yesterday back to the memory of everyone. If you are a lecturer or you are a classroom teacher, you could use this as a warm-up activity for your students. And as facilitators, this is very good for you to bring everyone to attention in the class. I have 20 people, okay? I will just wait a little for 2 minutes so that at least I can have at least half of the people because of our time. Okay. Yes, I have 24, 25. I have Mr. Logo, I have Babatunde, I have Kemi. So we're about to start the game. Look at the questions. You'll be responding from your device. Your response to the questions, you look at the questions on the screen while you answer from your phone. You'll be matching the answers with the color on your phone. Okay, I'm giving 2 minutes. I want to start 12:35 because of those who are just struggling to log in. But don't forget, one is going to give to response, how far you can respond quickly, and the answer to the question. So 2 things we are looking at, your response time and your ability to get the answer. So it goes. You start off. Look at the questions on the screen and match your answer from your phone. Match the answer on your phone, please. You are answering from your phone. Pick the relevant answers here. Learning development today okay. Well done. So we've answered question 1. The question was, learning and development today can be true. Pick the relevant answers, and people have picked relevant answer. Next question. Okay, AJ Cole, well done. You are leading. What is growth mindset about? Tick the wrong answer here. Okay, that was a test for yesterday's about mindsets. Rick has taken over now. Modern learners today are highly distracted. True or false? Match the answer from your phone. David Brown made us to understand yesterday. Okay, 90 people said yes, it is. Modern learners are highly distracted, according to David Brown yesterday in his presentation. Oh, well done, Rita. read following. Peasy, well done as well. AJ Cole, well done. So, this is the last question. Modern delivery skills can be acquired using this method. Seek the odd ones out. Which one is the odd one? Okay, that is the end, but let's see who is leading. Okay, thank you, everyone. I hand over back to Patricia. Patricia?
Okay. So I'm going to go back to share my screen. Okay, thank you everyone for that little energizer that we did. So you can imagine if you do something similar to this in an afternoon, it very quickly draws people's attention to the work that you are doing. People refocus. Well, I refocus, and I bet most of us refocused as well. So it's something that you can just do. It's an easy win to re-engage or to engage your learners in a delivery. It does not take more than 2 minutes to set this up. So instead of where you would normally write your recap questions on the whiteboard, you can do this, which is a fun way. Adults like to be rewarded. And you can see that at the end of that activity, there was praise and reward, which is one of the things that is attributed to the ways that adults learn. If you require more information about how to set this up, the notes are already as part of these slides. You will receive it. And if you have any difficulties, we can always, spend a few minutes with you to set up Kahoot. As we go along, please, if you feel that you need to ask questions, kindly put it in the chat box. Okay, so again, this is just to go back and recap and touch back what online training is. Mr. Femi covered it in the morning. He talked about webinar. He talked about the difference. Again, to remind you, basically, online training is where we train using the internet. And I believe most of us are already doing it anyway, but we are pushing more because of where we have found ourselves, the unprecedented situation that we have found ourselves. Our delivery methods, they need to change, and it needs to change in such a way that learning becomes meaningful. Now, in terms of how adults learn, because most of your trainees are going to be adults anyway, let's look at some theoretical framework. Let's look at some theoretical suggestions that has been put forward by bodies of knowledge. So what have they said? They said when adults are learning, they need to know why. They need to know why. Why is this important? It's so that they can put things in perspective. It's so that they can put things in context. So for example, the trainings that we've had today, yesterday, and today, there was always something about why we are doing it. Even today, when we introduced this last session, there was an introduction to why we are doing it. It's because of where we have found ourselves. We have found ourselves in a situation, therefore we need to respond in a certain manner. So what we are saying here is adults need to know why they are doing something. So when you are doing your training, because you are working with adults, it's good to put training in the context of something, in the context of why, so that learning does not become meaningless. For adults, there need to be some elements of self-directed learning. Self-directed learning or independent learning, people need to have time. Adults work within a lot of constraints. Therefore, we need to ensure that we incorporate our learning in such a way that it can be self-directed. Don't forget that our adult learners, even if you're working with 18 plus, they have some experiences. Those experiences need to come into learning so that it can become meaningful and it makes sense to them. At this point in time, we also need to know that adults need to connect to new information. When I observe classes, one of the main points is, has there any new knowledge? Are you just going over and over what has been learned years, weeks, even yesterday? So all the time be guided by what is the new learning, because that's how adults learn. They don't want to go in to waste time. They want something new. They want to be able to take something new. So bear that in mind. Adults very, very much like problem-solving approach. They want you to pose problems to them, and then they want to be able to think critically through the problem so that they can come up with solutions. Now, as we go along, I'd like you to reflect and begin to say to yourself, the programs or the trainings that I've put together, has it considered this methodology? Have we looked at problem solving as a way of delivery? Have we looked at sessions in terms of the why? Is it very clear? That's why in most cases, we start by our lesson objective. We are doing this because of that. Ask yourself those questions. We need to reflect. And as you reflect, be honest to yourself, make some notes. I need to do more of this. I need to incorporate more of the why learning. I need to think about more problem-solving approach. Also, and finally, adults like to be rewarded. They like motivation. So when we did the Kahoot, of course, you know, there was the ribbons and the balloons that came down to say that this person has won. But also, if you notice, my co-host kept saying, well done. So people, you might think it's nothing, but it does mean something. It's a morale boosting strategy where you acknowledge the work and the learning, the efforts of your learners. Morale boosting, use that a lot. Well done. Oh, you need to do this more. And be careful about your choice of words. I have over the years learned, you know, how to say no in a subtle way. So you may have done, you know, presented something that's not quite it. Well, when I know that my answer should be no, you haven't done it, or no, that's not what it should be. But there's a subtle way of, you know, speaking to our adults without necessarily knocking down their self-esteem. Okay, so underpinning the way adults learn is the active learning philosophy. That's underpinning the strategy for active learning underpinning the strategy is the active learning philosophy. Basically, what does it mean? What does it mean? It just means that you must, I'm using that word must now, think about the strategies that you can use to engage your learners during facilitation in a meaningful way. It's a must. It's a give. It's not something that you should overlook. I know that we're doing it, but we need to have that at our fore. Perhaps we need to do it more. We need to engage, make sure that, you know, in every lesson, in every facilitation, learners are doing something. I'm also honing into the percentage that we were given yesterday. We were told that between every 3 to 5 minutes, we should stop. Just getting learners, for example, to put comments on the chat box is tremendous. You get them to, you know, flow with you once they are engaged. Your engagement does not have to be a big singing and dancing situation. It could just be small comments here and there. It's a way of engagement. Now, having discussed or having touched on what active learning is, I'd like us to reflect on our strategy. What strategy should we all be pursuing when we are giving training? We should be looking at strategy that enables 90% of assimilation. 90% of assimilation. we should walk away from 5%. So for those people who believe so much in lecture, so today, okay, I know what I'm going to do. It's going to be PowerPoint. It's going to be death by PowerPoint. Unfortunately, adults will only be able to assimilate 5%. And that's not where we want to be. Certainly not. If we just give them reading materials, okay, you are going to read this. Your adult learners will only assimilate 10%. Again, that's not where we want to be. We want to be in this area where our adults are doing things, maybe teaching or each other. So what does that mean? It means emphasis on group work. Emphasis on group work. So when they are engaged, working collaboratively, there's a 90% chance of assimilation. I need you to think about this. That's where we want to be, 90% of assimilation. So we want a lot of things happening, but at the end of the day, if we want them to have 90% rate of assimilation, we want things around group work. We want them to practice doing something. We are not doing lecture, so it's the opposite. With the lecture, it is very much trainer-led. We call it death by PowerPoint. You are really killing them if that's what we're doing, but that's not where we want, that's not what we are doing. So our strategy really is to start to look at the bottom of this pyramid here. And this is going to be made available to everyone. It is called 10 Best Active Learning Strategies. And again, this has been put forward by bodies of knowledge. It's been tried and tested. People might have different opinions, but really and truly, you try it and see what works for your learners. But we would say, stay away from death by PowerPoint. And a question I'm going to ask you, if one of your directors or managers comes into your a session where you are delivering, how will they rate you based on the active learning strategies? How will they rate you? That's a rhetorical question. It's for you to think about it and see what difference you can make. So what are we saying today? Why are we having this session? We are having this session because we want everybody to be a champion of active learning. We want all facilitators to be a champion of active learning and promote active learning in your sessions. It's a journey. We are not saying jump from one to the other. We're saying make the effort, walk the walk. Aim towards 90%, 100% facilitation because you know you're working with adults. So what does it involve then to be a champion of active learning? What does it involve? We are saying here is plan your session in such a way that your trainees are actively engaged. That means think different things to different people. My way of planning that I can engage my trainees might be different for somebody else. It could also be driven by the topic. It could also be driven by the level of experience and expertise, or indeed what you plan to deliver. But bear in mind that for you to be a champion of active learning, you must be very clear in your mind where your learners are and the kind of things that you are going to plan. Okay, let's not waste too much time. I'd like us to confirm that we saw the instructions that was sent yesterday on breakout room function. Breakout room function. My colleague that delivered in the, earlier on said we must just be very careful about the numbers. So when you have huge numbers, there are things that you can do to promote active learning, to promote collaborative learning. And really that's what this breakout room function is about. So kindly use your the meeting chat to put your reflection. One, did you receive the instruction? Were you able to activate it? Did it work for you? Did it not work? I am so concerned about time. I will then go back, my colleague and I will go back and look at your comments, but I'm also I will want a situation where you are able to go in a breakout room today with people from different parts of West Africa. You'll be surprised in your room today. You might be with somebody, you might be in Ghana, and you'll be working with somebody in Nigeria. And you'll just be so amazed at how it works. Okay, so before we go into the session, our breakout room, basically what we are saying here is a breakout room. If you didn't have the time to look at it yesterday, I know some of you are already making comments on what your findings are. Breakout room really is a smaller room within the meeting. So let's say in a meeting you have 80 people, you cannot be effective with 80 people, but you also want to encourage collaboration. So what do? You set it up, which I believe most of you have done, on your computer if you are the host. But if you are the participant, you will be automatically moved by the computer to a room where you will work collaboratively, because we aim at working at the 90% of the pyramid that we looked at today, which is where we want to be. You will be getting this presentation today as soon as we finish, because the host has got all your details. It will be sent out to you. And in the presentation, there is a guide, again, a reminder and a guide with images and arrows telling you what you must do if you have not enabled breakout room on your computer. So slides 12 and 13 we will not touch, because it's instruction for you. If I'm to go through it, because of the different settings on our computer and our laptops, it may confuse a lot of people. So that's not where we want to be, but we have given you the instruction already. So what I'd like us to do now is work in a breakout room. I'm going to share with you what the activity is going to be, but at the same time, I will do a broadcast. So a broadcast is really an announcement telling people this is a task that you will be doing in the breakout room. So I will now enable, or I'll get people to work in their rooms. Just give me a sec. So we have 83. So I'm going to instruct the computer that I'd like to have 10 rooms. So I've told the computer that I'd like to have 10 rooms, and I've also asked the computer to assign people automatically. So I'm going to create. It's assigned everybody now. Now I'm going to open the room, and you will see that you have been moved to the rooms that you are going to be. So I've opened the rooms now, and then you will notice that you are now being moved. Okay, welcome back, everyone. I'm just going to, let's just pause for a minute. Let's reflect on what we have just done. Let's reflect on it. Let's get maybe 3 groups to say something, and then can I get the others to please use the meeting, chat. So what we want to reflect on the experience, we want to reflect on what you did and what you will do differently, if that's okay. And also keeping our eyes on the time, because there's also one more thing we want you to look at. So can we have the group that were in 1? Let's start with number 1. Who did you assign? And let's have your reflection, please. Group 1.
Or do we say whichever group is ready?
I think yes, exactly.
So that we can move ahead.
Yeah.
Which group? Group 10 is saying they are ready.
Okay, so group 10, could you please? Yes. Could you please just share your reflection with us? The reflection in context of the task, and one thing, just 2 things. Okay. Mr. Ade, yes, you will get the instruction today. Thank you.
Okay, unmute whoever is ready to present from your end, man. Group 10 is raising up his hand. Ojayemi, he will present. Can you unmute him?
Okay, so.
Can you unmute Ojayemi, please?
Ask to unmute, yeah. So
you have to do that. You have to unmute. Ojayemi, unmute him from your end, please.
5 participants are raising up.
Okay, ID, can you also unmute?
Yes, I'm on mute right now. We have Mr. Deyinka too, if he's ready. When we have Hadi, any one of you.
Okay, but you need to unmute them, please.
Yes, unmute Adeyinka, please. Mr. Ade, you are ready. You are unmuted.
Okay, ma'am.
Thank you.
I'm from group 4.
Okay.
And in our syndicate group, we are having about 5 participants that are members of the group.
Yeah.
So, and in the group, out of the 5 participants, we got responses from only 3 people, myself and 2 other persons. So the exercises are just to be a very interesting one, and it is a plus. It's a step up for our facilitation when we are conducting a virtual learning. So that's one of the problems that has been, a problem solved for virtual learning in order to enhance active learning, a kind of learning that will allow participation and engagement of our participants. So it was commended by the members of the group. Thank you very much.
Thank you. If I may ask a quick question, why were the others not engaged?
Yeah, well, we wouldn't know, but we didn't have their voices.
Oh, okay.
They did not speak. They did not talk.
Okay then. Okay. Yes, group 8 is ready.
No, group 10.
Yes, group 10, go ahead.
Group 10.
Okay.
So good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
My name is Ojayemi Oluwaseun. I'm representing group 10. So we were able to deliberate on the theme, the title, and the activities for each day based on the assignment given to us. We were 6 in our group 10, and all of us actually participated in the discussion. So the theme, effective communication for leaders in the post-COVID-19 era. That was the theme we adopted. And after so much deliberation, we were able to come up with a title, effective communication for leaders at the title, and the activity for each day based on the number of days given for that particular program. We divided the activity based on the title into based on the theme into 2. Day 1 for leadership, and the day 2 for effective communication using during the COVID-19, because we knew what happened when the whole world was under lockdown. So, activity for day 1, we have opening remark, lectures on leadership, breakout session, case study on leadership, then the closing for day 1. For day 2, lectures, breakout session, syndicates, and also closing, the final closing for the second day. The platform we adopted was Zoom, and we anticipated for minimum of 100 participants for that particular workshop. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You did accomplish a lot within that short time frame. And I can also see, we can see that some of the themes that we have discussed over the last 2 days, you are incorporating it into your planning. Thank you very much for taking, thank you very much for your efforts. Rita's group, thank you. Rita's group, because Rita's group had gone far, and Rita was very keen. She said she's willing to present. Rita, what group is that?
Rita, can we first unmute her? Can we unmute Rita?
I think we've done that.
Rita is 7.
Rita, where are you?
Yeah.
Rita?
We have shut. Rita is here, so unmute.
Rita, please unmute yourself, and then let's hear you. Rita, are you with us? Rita says she can't unmute. Do you want us to go to another person, please?
Yes, let's take one more group, please.
Because of our time.
Yeah. Can we take one more group? Okay, so the discussion around breakout room is still ongoing. Yeah, the discussion is still ongoing. Can I ask that you continue to use the chat message? The chat.
Okay, I'm here, ma'am.
Oh, okay.
I'm here, ma'am.
All right then, Rita. Thank you.
Okay, so our group is group 7, and we had very powerful personalities in my group. The DG Ascon,
yes,
the Dr. Fagbemi, myself, and Mr. Akonti, 4 in number. And we decided to design it. We were asked to design a 2-day training for Director Generals of MDI. And we felt, going by what is happening in the whole world, we chose a topic on leadership, because clearly leadership is what we need to drive the change that we want to see. So we came up with the topic, training on leadership for growth. And then we have a sub-theme as leading during times of change. Now for the duration, we chose 2 days for the program, knowing that these are chief executives, they are very busy people, they may not have time to stay all day. And also with going by what we've learned, we don't want to stay too long, even though we're going to use a Zoom training. So we decided to pick topics like leading during a crisis as one of the topics we'll be discussing. We also pick topics like problem solving and decision making, transformational leadership, resource management in post-COVID era. These are some of the topics we'll be discussing in the 2-day training. And then the platform we identified for this training is the Zoom platform. And then the methodology we're going to be using for this training would be group discussions, case studies, exercises, and we also intended to show some short video clips to these trainees, and from there we'll discuss further. We were not able to cover everything as we were asked to, because we had some challenges. So people in the group, they were not there. They couldn't unmute themselves. They were distracted. That's just what I would say. But all in all, this was all we were able to come up with within the short time.
Okay, Rita, thank you very much. I think my comments, the training that you intended to put together does fit the needs of your target audience. So it's something for managers and leaders. Therefore, you've looked at some of the things they need to consider in terms of leadership, managing crisis situations, particularly around during and post-COVID, and you sort of considered the inputs and the outputs, the learning objectives and the things that follows within that short period of time. So I would say well done. And you also use that word distraction. People can get easily distracted. So that was something also that you kept your eyes on. All in all, I would say very good effort. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, so thank you, ladies and gentlemen. It was just an eye-opener. We can do this all day, but because of time constraint, we have just, like I said, showed you what you can do and how powerful this can be, in order to engage. So today's breakout room activity really is the essence of this afternoon session, so that you can use it. And like I said, I know a lot of you are asking for the instruction. We will resend the instruction again. And with the help of Dr. Lowe, if you do require a one-to-one, I'm sure he'll be able to set that up. Another tool that we want to introduce you to is something, again, similar to what we did yesterday, but it can also help in engaging your learners is the Slido Interactive. My colleague, I'm going to hand you over to my co-host, who is going to explain what Slido is and just take you through it very quickly. Another tool that you can use. Over to Mr. Johnson, please.
Thank you, Pat. Slido is another interactive tool that participants will find very interesting. Yesterday, Mr. Brown engaged the whole session throughout and was using this. So this is another session you could use, another tool. You use it with your phone. So I want you to pick your phone again and go to slido.com. I'm going to share my screen for you to see. Go to slido.com and we go into pick a code. Are we in slido.com?
Yes, I'm quite sure we are working. We are on that. You know, we've unmuted everybody.
Oh, okay.
We need the code now.
Okay.
But I know we can hear you.
Yeah.
Please share your screen, sir.
Okay, 1 minute.
Okay.
How do you get there? Mr. Freeman, you just Google it. If you go to Google, just put slido.com. I'll put Slido, the spelling, on the chat. Okay, slido.com.
Practical class.
If you can see my screen now, once you Google slido.com, it will ask you for a code. That is because you're a participant. But if you want to set it up by yourself, you need to really register and sign on that website. But because of these activities and because of our time, on my screen right now, I have the code number, which is hash 510103. Are we there?
Yes.
Okay.
Can we have more confirmation, please, in the chat box? The code again is 5. Can we go back and share? Can you share the code again, please?
Okay.
5.
Five 10103.
510-103.
Yeah.
103.
510.
Yeah. Yes, thank you.
Okay, so once we register in, I see, then the question is on the screen. You respond on your phone as well. So the first question, what is your understanding of active learning? Please put your name so that we can know who has responded. You can edit as well. Okay, someone has said active learning is any approach to instruction in which all students are asked. Well done. Thank you for that. Please, you could you edit so that we can know who has put that as a response there. Only 9 people. Okay, thank you, Jeremy. Thank you, Dogo. Thank you, Rita. Okay. So we go on to look at the second question.
We can't hear you again, please.
I'm going to go to the second question now. The second question is, rate the usefulness of active learning to training participants. I have only 4 people who have responded. Okay. Okay.
Wait.
Okay. Okay. Thank you for all those that have responded. And the last question I'm going to go to now, because of my time, is what will you say that passive learning could be? Will you say that passive learning could be sometimes useful? Okay. So please respond on your phone as well. Okay, 73% have said yes. Okay, you can equally edit your response. Okay. Well done, everyone. 38 people have responded. Okay. Okay, because of my time, again, I will stop here. This is how you can equally engage your participants to ensure that they are quite participating really in your activities. Because of time, we just stop there. You can continue doing that. I will thank you so much for participating in that activity. Is something that you could use every time. And someone has the question when we did Kahoot to say that, can we use Kahoot for top management? There is no level of participant that we cannot use it for. It depends on one, how you have programmed the questioning. When Mr. Kiyemi was talking the other time, he talked about pre-planning. And Pat, as he called it, said it severally, we plan ahead of virtual presentation. So your recap lessons, your questions and all your questions to ask will be generated by you leading the facilitation. And therefore you are really into it to ask questions that can stimulate top management strategic thinking. And I'm sure they would love to equally be competitive. And the same thing with Slido as well. You could use it for any level of management, because you are really engaging them rather than talking. They will be fully engaged when they know that there are things to participate in and they're expecting you are expecting their response. So this is another very, very good tool, and you can use it to recap your day. You can use it to cap your day as well, looking at all the presentation for the day and ask the question. My last slide is, if you want to set it all by yourself, we have the slide on this presentation, and I'm sure you will have it. Patricia, over to you.
Okay, so let's just very quickly, there's a point that was deliberate in the setting up of this Slido. Is the second question where we said, would you say that passive learning could be sometimes useful? Are we saying that passive learning can be useful? 86% said yes. Is that the answer? This was something deliberate. Yes. Would you say that passive learning could sometimes be useful?
Do you want me to respond that?
Yes.
Okay. I would say that active learning is what we are talking about in virtual learning. When it is passive, well, passive, then that shows that a lot of people will not be engaged. When we say passive, it does mean that people are just seated there and they are somewhere else. Situation can, I mean, don't forget this is a private space where someone will log in and go elsewhere to the market.
Yeah. So what we are saying then is for the respondents then, so the answer should be more, not at all. We don't want our learners to be in the not at all mindset, mind frame. Yeah. We don't want people to be passive learners, so it's a no, but we want people to be engaged. So it's a yes for us. Yeah. Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Johnson, for that exposition and for sharing with us those powerful tools that we can use to bring our learners back again, just when we think that they are beginning to lose interest.
Thank you, Pat. Should I unshare or
please do? Yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have looked at Kahoot today as an energizer. We've looked at breakout room as a function that can be used for collaborative work. Because if we go back to the strategies for active learning, collaboration and demonstration is where we want all our learners to be. We've got, again, I keep saying it, we've got instructions, how you can set this up, and we can handhold participants through it at another function, if so be, if it's something that Dr. Olowe has approved. So for us now to just try and summarize everything, we've looked at those things. We're just going to, give you some other tips that are also useful that you may wish to consider. So in terms of give, we must bear in mind that in the design, in our instructional design, in the delivery, post-delivery, during delivery, and after, we are ensuring that the interest of our learners is paramount. We are ensuring that we take into account what their needs are, and then we give the best. It's about giving the best so that they can have an enhanced experience. Bear that in mind. It's about giving for enhanced experience. We are saying here that you should imagine all the delivery today. These are just, some abstract things. If all you could see was my head, no matter how powerful I have prepared, no matter the content, it's not going to have the impact. So it's just some practical things. Check, make sure that you are visual, people can see you, your frame shows, it also shows connection and intimacy with your training. Yeah. So again, develop and use the right tools. Develop and use the right tools. Like my Mr. Femi said today, it's difficult for you to bluff these things. It's difficult for you to want to use something that you have not practiced before. So I'm also reinforcing what he said in the morning, practice. And Google and YouTube will take you through. They will tell you exactly what you need to do. You don't have to be an expert. If you go to Dummy Guide, how do I set up breakout room? Go to Google, go to YouTube. They will show you. It's not a problem. And then finally, for our own sanity, we are all experts in our field. Sometimes we doubt our ability. Sometimes we doubt what we want to do, but try to present confidently. You might be doubtful of yourself, but in actual fact, you are doing the right thing. So always, go in there with a can-do attitude. Go in with a can-do attitude and then present confidently. And where you are not sure about something, don't bluff it. You are working with adults. They will see through you. There is no harm at all in saying, I'm not sure about this. I'm going to check and revert. We do it all the time. We say it. Don't bluff where you cannot handle it, but be confident. People will respect you for that. So,
Pat, let me just add this quickly.
Okay.
That some of these platforms are evolving daily. A lot of tools, a lot of tools they're just adding to it. Zoom has just added a lot of features, tools, and all that. So the more you use some of these platforms, Microsoft Teams is there, has a lot of facility that you can explore. We have TeamLink as well. So you are not just glued to Zoom alone. You could use any other platform. Google Docs is equally there, and they have a lot of features that you can explore to make your presentation a thumbs-up presentation and a high-level power one. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's now our presentation done. Thank you for your time. Thank you for all the activities and all the contribution. We appreciate you.
Thank you, Pat, and thank you, Mr. Johnson. The last word to take out of that is that practice, practice, practice. As a resource person, innovation is something that we have to keep in touch with. Everybody is talking about new thing, new innovations, and if you want to key in, if you want to be relevant, you have to keep learning new things. We want to thank you very much for your presentation, Mrs. Pat and Mr. Johnson. That's a wonderful presentation.